It's Star Wars Day, and some weeks ago I took the time to rewatch all 9 movies in the Skywalker saga for the first time in a long while. So here is my ranking of those movies from worst to best. I liked a lot of the ideas presented here, but the execution of those ideas fell extremely flat to me due to some consistently rough dialogue and a very cringy and underdeveloped love story. There are elements here I appreciate that make it mildly entertaining, but this spends way too much time trying to course correct The Last Jedi and tries to do way too much at such a brisk pace that it results in a very lackluster conclusion to the Skywalker saga. There are flashes of brilliance here, but this was still largely brought down by an uninteresting plot on top of some awkward acting and excessive exposition. I think there's enough here in this movie that works, but also just as much that does not work. And while I definitely don't hate this movie, it's still one I'm incredibly mixed on at the end of the day. This one does fall into a lot of the same habits as the first two prequels, but it also has a lot more highs than the first two combined. That still doesn't make this perfect, but definitely the best of its respective trilogy. It rehashes quite a bit from A New Hope, but there's enough interesting ideas here that make it a solid start to the sequel trilogy, even if later entries kind of squandered its potential. This one also retreads some old ground, but watching the progression of Luke's character here was more than satisfying and acted as a worthy end to the original trilogy. It's a simple story that also kind of speeds by a couple plot points, but for the film that started it all, there isn't a moment here that didn't keep me entertained, and I can only imagine what it was like for the people who first saw this and wondered what would come next. Watching this as an adult, I'm a lot more impressed by how this brings together its two stories and the ideas it presents with Luke as a character, making this my personal favorite Star Wars film in the Skywalker saga. So yeah, those are my thoughts on these movies. Gonna be honest, even with the lower entries on this list, I still had a reasonably good time watching all of these again. Even with the worst ones, experiencing these movies just for the world and their ideas have always been fun in different ways, and I would absolutely watch all of these again in the near future. But let me know what you think. How much do you agree? Do you like the ones I dislike? Do you dislike the ones I like? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear different opinions on this.